A loyal yet controversial companion, one of the most effective ways of dealing damage to the enemies, a powerful and misjudged ally. Some people, despite its flaws, might even consider it an iconic familiar of the game. By the way, I'm talking about Bowstrain, and it has nothing to do with this video. Hola! Today's video is going to be something different than usual, because I want to talk about a specific item in the game, Abyss. After showcasing the road to enlightenment mode, I quite clearly remember that Abyss exists, and how divisive it is in the community. Even though the item is loved by many, it is controversial for two reasons that most people use to criticize or discredit the item. This being, Abyss is unfinished, and the item quality is unjustified. After hearing these complaints, I started thinking, is it really that bad? Are these complaints bad enough to fully dismiss the item, or maybe we should give it a second chance? And because of this, I started investigating about the item, getting opinions about it, testing it by myself, and trying everything that it can do. All of this to reach a fair conclusion by the end of this video. So, sit back and enjoy! Let's start by defining what it is. Abyss is a quality 4 active item with 4 charges, which has the ability of absorbing other items and turn them into Locust. It can absorb pretty much every item, such as passive or active ones. It can also absorb stuff that you are supposed to purchase from the shop or the deal, as long as you use Abyss while holding the item in your hands. The spawn locusts are familiars that attack when you shoot tears. When they attack, they will fly in a straight direction until they hit a wall or an enemy. They can fly above obstacles and have a slight piercing. The locusts that you get do your same damage, but there is a few exceptions that are more interesting. These exceptions are locusts with different effects that you can obtain by observing specific items. And here's when the problem starts. Now that we described how the item works, we can talk about the first controversial thing about it. Most people tend to complain about the lack of special locusts available compared to the hundreds of items in the game itself. People started seeing this issue literally a few days after Repentance came out. But breaking news! Some people found interesting files that contain all the effects that Abyss was supposed to have, and at that moment, everyone realized that Abyss was, indeed, unfinished. But to be fair, it wasn't the only item unfinished when Repentance was released, so it was just a matter of time to see it get attention. Knowing that, can you guess how many new locusts were added? Because now I'm gonna compare the first version of Abyss with the current one, to see how much the item was improved over time. And for reference, I'm also comparing it with two other popular items that weren't finished on release either, Birthright and C-Section. In this version, Birthright only worked with 21 out of 34 characters, C-Section wasn't even finished, you could find it on that certificate but it just did nothing, and it didn't like a way of being unlocked, and Abyss only gave you special locust if you absorb any of these 16 specific items. 3 years later, compared to the release versions, Birthright now works with every character in the game. C-Section became one of the most loved items in the community, because of how powerful it is and its multiple synergies, and Abyss now gets special locust for almost 20 items. A huge improvement from before. They are the same items! They are the same items because Abyss didn't get any new locusts since first released. The only update that it got was between September and November of 2021, and it just added a synergy to a locust that already existed, not new locusts or anything else. After that, the item remained untouched for almost 3 years. And counting. And look, I'm not mad about it not getting attention, I'm just confused. Because it seemed like the idea of special locust was kinda left behind. I don't work on Nicalis to confirm how they manage things around there, so maybe there is a reason beyond my understanding of why the item was left like this. If any person from Nicalis is watching this, it's not your fault, okay? No te da drama, todo bien, amigo. But that doesn't make me any less confused. Maybe... is it because the ones that are currently in the game are powerful enough? That would kinda justify it. Let's qualify them. To qualify them, I took all the items that give you special locust and ranked them based on how worth it to absorb them compared to just taking the item. The first tier is called Must Absorb. In here you can see all the items that are better as locust, at least in 80% of the cases. For example, here is Holy Light, which is turned into a locust that can strike light beams from hit, and after some testing I can confirm that the locust triggers the light beam more than Isaac with average luck. Another example can be Firemind, which gives you a locust that can burn enemies and doesn't have any risk of explosions. The second tier is called Run Dependent. In here you will find items that you might want to absorb or take based on how your run is going. For example, if you see Epicac but it's too risky with your current play rate or range, you can turn it into a locust that poison enemies and does nice damage. Not as good as an actual Epicac tier, but still helpful and less dangerous. Other examples are items like Inner Eye or Mutant Spider, which give you a lot of locust at once, instead of making you shoot more but reducing your tier rate. The third tier is called Not Worth At All, and it's for the items that, even though they give you a powerful familiar, it's just wasting a really good item. In here you can see items like damage multipliers. These ones create locusts that deal twice or more of your damage, which is dumb. I will explain why. Imagine that you have 5 locusts with base damage and you fight Cricket's head. What would you choose? Absorb the Cricket's head to have a locust that does more damage than the rest, or taking the item to boost the damage of all of them, and yourself. Here's a comparison. And as you can see, the second option is the best one. I guess you can absorb any of these items if you already have a replacement for them. Like you can absorb Cricket's head if you have Magic Mushroom, because their damage multiplier doesn't stack, or if you already have Homing, you can absorb Spawn Bender. But besides those situations, yeah, I don't see it. And then the last tier is called... No. This tier is only reserved for Brimstone. Look, I'm not a Brimstone head, I don't praise it as much as other people do. But man, they did Brimstone so dirty with this Locust. Just look at what it does. Exactly. It's the same as a regular Locust. Remember, the only way of getting this Locust is by absorbing Brimstone before it goes into your inventory when you buy it, which costs 200 containers. And all of that for a Locust that is just... So yeah, this one currently sucks. And those were all the special Locusts. Out of the 16 items, 3 are way better to absorb, 7 are optional, and the rest are bad. And with this we can conclude that not all the special Locusts are that interesting, or some of them are not fully developed yet. And that, combined with the fact that the stuff implayed on the files was never added, confirms that Abyss never reached its full potential as intended. If we compare it with other items with a lot of effects like Book of Virtues or that, it's not even close. Does this mean that the item deserves to be ignored because of that? Hell no. Sure, it's a shame that the item doesn't have more effects, but that doesn't mean that the item is terrible. Then, if it's not terrible, what is it? Which brings me to the second controversial thing about Abyss, it being a quality 4 item. Most people will say that this item deserves a quality 3 or lower, and after testing the item several times and in several conditions, I can assure you that Abyss is broken. I know that most people will not believe me when I'm saying this, but I'm really serious. But before that, let me explain the bad things of Abyss. Now with that out of the way, let's look at the background for a second. One of the tests that I did was a no items run, just turning everything into a Locust. And I won! That's not a proof of skill. I'm a showcaser. That means that I don't have skill. But this footage proves how powerful the item is. Don't believe me? Try to do it yourself. It's generally an experience and I recommend it. To understand why I'm saying that it's broken, let's take a quick look at the properties of Abyss again. It has only 4 charges, it gives you Locust that deal your damage and can be used as secondary projectile, no downside, it can absorb active items, and it can absorb items that you hold. These last things are what makes the item so powerful, because if you prioritize going to shops, you will see that it's mostly filled with crap that you don't want. Which means that you might end up with 2 extra Locusts each floor just by buying stuff like the Portable Slot and Placebo. Not to mention that you can apply certain strategies to get even more Locusts. Iron Dump or 2, the knife piece can be absorbed. You found a blood donation machine, the AB bag and blood bag can be absorbed. You found a library, eat the books. Yeah, sure, some items require to main max a little bit, but if you're playing Isaac, it means that you're also prepared to spend 2 hours in a single run. And let's talk about the normal Locust. Since they scale with your damage and move when you're attacking, they are really like increasing the amount of tiers that you're shooting. And I didn't mention it before, but with BFFs or High Mind they do 25% more damage. Considering that you should enter a lot of shops, you have a high chance of finding those. And yeah, maybe with 1 or 2 Locusts you don't see a lot happening, but with 4, 5 or more, let me explain it like this. There's a reason why a swarm of Locust was so threatening for Egypt. Now, time to answer. It deserves the quality 4? Since I don't want this video to be opinionated, I will let you decide that. You can leave your opinions in the comments. To be fair, most of the quality 4 actives are broken as well. Just look at my favorite boy, the Infinity. Now, that makes me question, if it's overpowered, why do most people tend to reject it? I've been searching for opinions on this item in various places, Reddit posts, my community tab, and I even had the chance of asking other content creators about their opinions.
You may already know this, but Tainted Napoleon, stinky, I don't like him. The main reason I don't like him is Abyss. I'm not a fan of Abyss. Locust being your main damage output just doesn't feel satisfying. They're kind of weird to aim and honestly they're just not fun.
Abyss is an overrated item by the game. Sacrificing items for flies is situational, however certain characters like the Lost can get more value from it. And the unique Locusts are almost always worse than their item counterparts. If I could give it a quality rating, I'd give it a 3 out of 4. At least it cost only 1 heart.
I think Abyss is an underrated item. It allows you to use items you would otherwise skip as a damage increase, not to mention the item-specific synergies it has, making it even stronger.
Abyss is a really bad item, and if you ever hear anybody ever say, wow, Abyss is really good, this is my favorite quality 4 item, run. Run so far away. They are lying to your face. They probably commit tax fraud. They probably kept their library card for too long and kept the books and never returned them. They're criminals.
As you can see, the item is not hated by everyone, but those who don't like it tend to have a very specific reason why. So, in this part of the video, I will take to mention most of the issues that the people have with this item, and how we will fix them, if I had the chance. Keep in mind that I don't agree with some of these reasons, I'm just giving a hypothetical solution to them. Reason number 1. The first impression. Obviously, if you are used to Abyss, that means that you play with Tente Napoleon, because you can have the item if you unlock it with him, and he starts with it. Tente Napoleon is not a bad character, but most people just find him kinda boring because of his low tier rate. Why I'm mentioning this? Well, I think that people tend to associate the item with the character, and if your experience with the character is bad, your opinion on the item might also be bad. Basically most tolerance. My suggestion is, just see the item as its own thing. Start using it when you can and see how it works with other characters. With Bethany it's really cool, for example. Reason number 2. Always the same. This one technically connects with the fact that special locusts are unfinished, but people don't like that the locusts are just the same every single time, basically turning the run into something repetitive and kinda lifeless. Isaac is not a roguelike. Isaac is a PC stress software, where if the game crashes because of too much bullshit going on, you win. And well, tell me what's better, seeing your tiers causing chaos, or just a lot of red dots moving on screen. To fix this, I suggest making the locusts also randomized. I'm not talking about they having special effects, but more like having the range, speed or damage modified every time you get one. This will make the item certainly less effective, but I can see it being more fun and chaotic. Reason number 3. Lack of failure, or being too perfect. Okay, this one sounds weird, but hear me out. Since this item doesn't have any downsides, this means that you know what you're gonna get every single time, deleting the risk of getting bad stuff completely. Which, even though it's a good thing, I can see how you can turn the run into something boring. Imagine that you have Curse of Blindness and you enter a treasure room. The item has the chance of being great, very good, okay, bad and terrible. The only way of finding out is risk the run and take it. Except with Abyss. Because again, you can turn an item into a locust while holding it. So if you take something with Curse of Blindness, you can quickly judge if you want it or not, and turn it into a locust or keep it. My suggestion is to balance it, making it work kinda like the Eternal D6, in the sense that it has a small chance of just not working. This will make the use of it something more risk-reward related, and certainly more interesting. Reason 4. Locusts are weird. The overall design of the locust is very unique. They are literally built different. They have their own way of attacking, which can take a while to get used because it's different from other familiars. They are just flies but red, which, come on, feel lazy. And they don't have any sound effect, which I can appreciate because if they make a constant when they are close to you, that will be very annoying. But at the same time, the fact that they don't do any sound while attacking can be a little confusing. There is a lot of people that rely on sound in this game, you know? Anyway, for these reasons people see the locust as something really uncomfortable to use. My suggestion? Maybe changing the way of attacking. Something like a double tap like Bob's Brain, or charge shot like Little Gordy, or something even cooler. Make it like the birthright of Tente Napoleon, but less powerful. That will make them way better to use. And those were the reasons that I've seen people bring up. Maybe not all of them, but if there is a reason that I didn't mention, leave it in the comments. To give a conclusion to this video, we can say that Abyss wasn't updated as it was supposed to, and it currently remains unfinished. But even with this in mind, it's a really powerful item, and one of the best ways of recycling pedestals into something better. This video wasn't made with the intention of making Abyss your new favorite item, I still prefer the Infinity over it, but I hope that your opinion on the item became a little less harsh. It deserves a quality 4? Well, after showing what it can do, you can comment what you think about that. To be honest, I think we should stop relying on the quality system to choose what is supposed to be good or bad, but that is a topic for another time. Thanks for watching the video to the end, and I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, opinions, or you think that I've forgotten something, leave it in the comments. And as always, goodbye and have a great day.